Hi, welcome to Storytime with Dan Booker. Appreciate you being here, and welcome to our reading today. Today we're doing book 4 of Sheriff in a Small Town, and today's chapter is How. Agnes came up from the basement of Rocky's old home, holding a weathered mermite container. Lifting out the 3 inner pots, she considered the things she could do with this large kit. Rocky came in, saw her with it, and laughed. I forgot all about that. What made you decide to bring that upstairs? I was thinking of giving it a good scalding and using it next month. We're getting on towards cold season, and I know I'll have plenty of people to go to. Think you could get another? Makayla and I have been using 5-gallon igloos, and they work, but it's a lot of effort to bring it inside, and if we do use it, it's never good for Kool-Aid anymore. Rocky rushed down into the basement only to return crestfallen. I know I had another. Moment of thought, and he dove outside and into the shed. Agnes picked up Mary, who was crawling around towards the door, and followed. In the shed, Rocky was pulling old army equipment off the shelves. Finding the companion to the one in the kitchen, he opened it, pulled out over a bucket, and emptied the canisters. An assortment of screws, bolts, and nuts, as well as wires, tumbled with a clatter inside. She'd still be good to go. You want me to clean them? Agnes looked with caution on the greasy interiors. Please, I wouldn't want to put anything in them like that. For an hour, Rocky scrubbed and sterilized the Marmite cans and cleaned the housing thoroughly. Agnes was making chicken soup and canning quart jars with enough to leave with people she ministered to. Sitting at the kitchen table with Mary on his lap, she watched intently. He knew that Agnes and now Makayla went around and ministered to the sick. They'd bring soup to them, help clean the house, or just spend time and visit. Somehow, she always knew when someone needed help. He'd asked a few times how she knew, and she'd just shrug and not answer, as well as mysteries that he was determined to solve. Putting on a clean shirt, he decided to head into town. It had promised to be a slow day, so he'd taken the day off. Seeing that Agnes was going to be busy, he decided to potter around town. As he watched her put the lid on the last jar and place them into a large pressure cooker, he felt he might just call on Talbot. As a former sheriff talking to the current sheriff and deputy, it's just possible a line of inquiry on the mystery might be opened. Talbot was aghast. Are you officially asking me to open an investigation on Agnes and Makayla? Rocky looked at the ground embarrassed. No, of course I'm not. Damn it, though, aren't you curious how they always know? Sure, but not enough to spy on them. Well, maybe not too much anyways. I really wish you wouldn't put these thoughts in my head, Rocky. Rocky admitted he was wrong, but his desire to know was almost overpowering, and now it was festering in Talbot's mind as well. Joe had come in the back door after doing his round. Normally, the squad car was left out in front, but they probably wouldn't be doing any more today. He had arrived just in time to hear the discussion. He wasn't thrilled by what he was hearing. He was about to storm out and admonish them when he halted at mid-stride. Tomorrow was his day off, and he would meet with Agnes and Makayla. He wanted to let them know what their husbands were planning, to spy on them and to reveal their secrets. Felt as if they were using their office to get to the bottom of things, and it wasn't proper. Early the next day, Joe was hiding out back, waiting for Talbot to come in and Rocky to go past on his way to his office. Once these two were out about their business and the way was secure, he took a surreptitious route to Rocky's home in town. As he suspected, Makayla was pulling in to visit Agnes after seeing off Talbot. Arriving at the door, he could hear them chattering and laughing, the clink of glassware and pots and pans. Well, they're having a right old party. He knocked and led against the post to wait. Makayla answered, saw Joe, and her face paled. Something wrong, Joe? Is Peggy all right? Joe was slightly peeved. Well, can't I just come over and say hi? Makayla led him in the kitchen. Sure, but it's the first time you ever come over. Joe shrugged. Well, there's always a first time for everything. I got something I wanted to discuss with you both. Sitting, sitting around the table, Joe told them about what he'd heard. They want to figure out how you both always know who's sick. They're determined to find out because it's driving them crazy. Agnes raised her eyes to heaven. Makayla, maybe we ought to just tell them. This is getting crazy if they really want to investigate it. Kayla sat deep in thought, then began a deep belly laugh. Well, let them. We'll give them something to investigate that'll knock their socks off. She turned to Joe. Joe, all those things you did to Rocky's truck, could you do a discreet job somewhere in here? Joe was intrigued. Yeah, sure, I've got plenty of that stuff left. What do you have in mind? Makayla said her idea, and Joe took notes on what he'd need, and Agnes began to write a script for them to follow. Suddenly, she jumped up and called Peggy and Julia. Swearing them to secrecy, she let them know about Project Spectre and set the date for a week later. With all hands agreed to the plan, Joe went off to get the things he needed from the garage, and Agnes and Makayla went into town to gather the equipment they would need. The day before Project Spectre, Joe was in Rocky's kitchen placing a patch panel under the dining room table. 6 buttons connected to a tape recorder, a dimmer switch for an electric candle, a small fan, and 3 sound effects. Everything was hidden sufficiently that when Rocky came home that evening, he was unaware that the booby traps were set, and he and Talbot were the boobies. When Talbot came down for breakfast, Makayla was placing some items in her purse. A candle, a cross, a black cloth. Several other objects were carefully enclosed and the hasp snapped shut. When she heard Talbot come in, she started and hid the purse in the drawer. Talbot sat and picked up Larry. What's the matter? You look as though you've seen a ghost. She blushed. No, that's for later. Huh? Oh, nothing. Let me get your breakfast. You probably have a big day ahead of you. Oh, and I packed your lunch for you and Joe. She was practically gabbling, which roused Talbot's curiosity further. What do you got planned for today? Oh, nothing much. Julia, Peggy, and Agnes and I are meeting up to find out who's sick and divvy up the list. She put a bowl of cornflakes in front of them, took Larry from his arms, and began to give him a sink bath. Stop splashing, Larry. We've got to get you ready to go see Mary. Talbot nodded. So, y'all meeting up at Rocky's place? She snapped around giddily. I never said that. She dried off Larry and got him dressed. Hurry up and eat. I'm going to clean up and get going. At Rocky's old home, much to the same conversation and actions were happening. Rocky ordinarily had a leisurely breakfast with his family. This time he was rushed out with the knowledge that company was expected, and she had to prepare to receive the information on who was sick. Peck and push, and Rocky was sent out of the house. Now, determined more than ever to get to the answers, he stopped off at the courthouse and met up with Talbot. Well, today's the day they find out. They meet up at our place and somehow get the information on who's sick. Talbot nodded. Yeah, but why do they have to meet up? A phone call would do if one of them has the info. Kayla was putting some odd things in her purse to bring with her. Talbot had seen a list of what items Makayla was to bring and made him more than curious. Seeing candles, claws, a bell, and such worried him. Rocky, I hate to say it, but we need to go to your place and see what's going on. Walking to Rocky's home, they were passed by Peggy and Julia driving there. Peggy was giggling at the determined looks on Rocky and Talbot's faces. At Rocky's home, they rushed in. They're coming now, and they mean to find out. Agnes was laughing. Good. We'll give them a show they won't forget. Rocky and Talbot approached from the rear of the house and peered cautiously through the window. I'll have to go through the window in the front room. They'll see us coming in through any door. Creeping to the side window, Talbot crawled inside, then turned to pull Rocky through. Hey, you've gained a few pounds, buddy, he whispered as he grunted and tugged. Slithering onto the floor, he gasped. Yeah, I'm not as active as I was as sheriff. Better get back on the workouts. Now, where can we hide where we can see and hear? Curtains? On either side of the front window were 2 thick curtains. Talbot tried to hide first, and from what Rocky could see, anything showing was lost in the shadows. He went behind the other and peered to the edge. In the kitchen, Agnes had heard the running entrance of her husband. "It's time," she whispered, and the women all brought out the items they had been assigned. Agnes placed the white tablecloth onto the kitchen table with great ceremony. Makayla placed the black cloth on top at an angle. She pulled out the candle, which Peggy placed in the scent holder she had brought. Julia placed petals into a bowl of water and set them next to the candle. The warm water, petals, and heat from the candle began to add a warm floral scent. From the pantry, Agnes brought out the white satin robes the women wore when called to sing in the choir. The stage was set. They sat around the table, ready to begin. Julia brought out a notepad and pen. Peggy lit the candle. Julia gave the petals a spin, releasing their scent more strongly. The evening before, Agnes had gone into town to receive the listing of all the people who were sick to go to the general store for their medicine. The evening before, Agnes had gone into town and received a listing of all people who were too sick to go to the general store for their medicine. The delivery boys always kept a list, which was given to Agnes when called for. The list was kept in her hand and laid on the table. She placed her hands on either side, and the women all held each other's hands. Peggy reached over and turned the lights out, then took Makayla's hand. Agnes slowly went into a trance. "We are the Sisterhood of Healers. We seek the guidance of the one whose work and dedication began our calling. We call on Florence Nightingale to tell us who requires our help. Hear our call and give us guidance." The ladies intoned solemnly, "Hear our call, join us, healers all." A breeze softly blew on the candle and the flame flickered. Agnes's voice cracked. "She's with us." From above them came a soft sighing that slowly faded then grew louder. "I have come to aid those who seek to heal. You ask for the names of those who need your help. I have come to give their names. Laura Morton, Patricia Lincoln, Ruth Mangrove, Sylvia Lantris. These are the sick in need of aid. Seek out Martha Halstead, for she is in need of spiritual comfort. She has lost her companion and so lost the will to go on. Bring her solace so that her spirit is revived. Finally, I bring you joyful news for one amongst you. Peggy, that which you feared is not to be. From stomach cancer, you are free. I see in front of you long life, full of love and free of strife." Here the voice rose. "To those in hiding and listening in, receive the dust of ages as a penance for your sin." From the curtains came the sound of coughing, and Rocky and Talbot emerged covered in dust. Peggy turned on the lights, and Agnes and Makayla grabbed rags to clean off their husbands. Peggy and Julia tidied up and packed soup for the people who were sick. Agnes finished dusting Rocky. "What were you two doing back there?" "We stopped by and saw you were busy. We didn't want to disturb you, so we were just looking outside." She looked at Talbot, who was looking like a 5-year-old caught stealing a cookie. "Yeah, we better get back to work. Bye, Makayla. Love you." He pulled out the door with Rocky scuttling after him. Agnes and Makayla went back into the kitchen laughing, but stopped when Peggy rushed to pick up the phone. Peggy was dialing a number hurriedly, then waited impatiently for the answer. "Oh, hello, Miss Lantris. We heard that you were sick. I just wanted to check if we could bring you some soup." "Oh, sure. We'll be over a little later. Anything else we can do or bring you?" "Okay, we'll see you in a few." She turned to Agnes, shaking. "Agnes, Mrs. Lantris wasn't on the list you received." "How do you know she was sick?" "She just got sick to the point she had to go to bed an hour ago." Agnes looked at the list she had received and the one she had gotten from the delivery boys. Neither Lantris or Miss Halstead listed from the original one. She called Mrs. Halstead. "Oh, hello, dear. We heard you about your loss. I'm so sorry." "Oh, sorry. This is Agnes Stone. Is there anything we can do for you?" "Yes, of course I can bring Tucker over. He loved playing with Toby and seeing you." "Well, we're doing some rounds this afternoon, so it'll be a bit, but we'll be over a little later, and if you don't mind, we can stay a while and talk." "Yeah, sure. We'll see you then." She turned to see everyone staring. Her dog Toby got hit by a car this morning. Peggy was sitting and looking at Agnes in awe. How did you know? It's kind of freaky, even scary. Agnes shrugged and decided that she didn't want to do any more seances. She tossed the candles into the garbage, went to the closet and pulled down an old Ouija board and threw that in the garbage as well. They packed the cars in silence, all a little scared about what had happened. Okay, that's it for today. Appreciate you being here. We're going to do another chapter next week. I'll tell you what, hold on a second. Let me go back to the book for a second. What's the next chapter? Founders. Oh, this is a good one. Founders Day. This is going to be fun. I hope you're going to be here for that one. This is going to be a really good one. So that will be on Friday. Today is Tuesday. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Today's Friday. Tuesday. Yeah, I'm doing good. Today is Tuesday. We'll be doing this again Friday. That's Founders. So I hope you'll be here for that. It's really going to be a lot of fun. So I look forward to seeing you. Be good. Be good to yourself. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you doing this. Being here to hear these. Take it easy.